Okay, so we're back. I forgot to make this video. I hit Master 1 with Centur-Ion this season. I just wanted to play something I kind of liked, was comfortable with, and didn't really feel like playing deck. I wanted to save up resources, so here we are. I'd say this is pretty straightforward. I'm basically playing to max out on hand traps. I've overall found that Decklist is like a really nice sort of extender for Centur-Ion, and the Bystials are like fine hand traps. Regained is crazy. If you draw as a brick with Centur-Ion plays, you can pitch it. I don't know. Regained is just another card you don't really want to draw in the deck. If you draw it, you like want to have hard drawn one of Drew's Form or Magnum Hut, obviously. If you draw a Decklist and Regained, it sucks to suck, I guess. Yeah, for this one, I don't feel like it's too much to talk about the engine. Just because I feel like it's pretty straightforward. We're basically maxing out on Centur-Ion starters. I'm playing Bonds because I feel like, hypothetically, will be like a card to turn on Gargoyle. It'll let you like pitch itself or pitch an extra monster and then put that monster in the back row. I don't think there's a big difference between playing it and Wake Up. And I do think you can easily argue for like the extra free body sometimes comes up, but also sometimes Centur-Ion Bonds gives you like grind game that you would have otherwise. I could see a player choosing to play both of these. I don't think it's like objectively wrong to play both or only one. I don't believe in True Awakening because I think it takes up a deck slot that could be a hand trap, and like, yeah, it's searchable. But it's just an Omni that takes out your back row. If you are playing it, I assume you'd be playing Emmet, because then I think that makes it worthwhile, because you kind of get a free monster in the back row. But I kind of valued Gargoyle for being like an extra free body. Even if you aren't going for turn 1 Crimson Dragon, which I think is fairly... Sorry, Blazar. Actually, usually I'd go for Cipher, honestly, with Tempai and board wipes being pretty popular. But regardless, even if you aren't going for that with a follow-up Cosmic Blazar, I still found the extra body can sometimes make it so you end on an SP that you otherwise wouldn't. And sometimes it's literally like an extender if you like Trudea get negated and you just hard draw Gargoyle, or you can like search Gargoyle, and even when you wouldn't have been able to do it with Bonds or Wake Up, Gargoyle allows you to like send Trudea, special summon it, and then you'll get to make Auxilla anyways if like your normal summon of Trudea gets negated, and then you have extension in either Stand Up or Emblem of Oath. I think it's overall better at the time that Centur-Ion needs to be better, which is on your very first turn. Because I feel like your grind game's just already generally good enough, and that's where Emmet helps you. But once again, I don't think it's like terrible to play Emmet. But I do think if you're playing True Awakening, like I saw some people playing like piles with super heavy. The one I did, I just drew a super hand trap heavy hand, so I'm not sure if they played it, but that seems like the kind of deck where you're trying to go like hard on like a bigger combo board than this deck usually does. But usually to me the idea is that you're just ending with like essentially an immunity to Harpy's Feather Duster and Lightning Storm on your back row and your monster, because you're just on like Auxilla plus Primera, and then you have like a Cipher if you had a really strong hand, or Blazar Dragon if you prefer. And then you're just like sitting on hand traps ideally. Obviously that's not always going to be the case. We're not on Called By because I figured that A, I want all of my hand traps to be live, and B, I want to have like, I just feel like no individual hand trap is going to necessarily like destroy you. Like against some hands you kind of want it, but I was much more concerned with keeping my opponent off of anything crazy when they go first, rather than raising my own end board and increasing my chance of getting to it. That was the basic idea. Anytime Lubellion resolves and you get like regained on field, it's just really strong and gives you a ton of grind game and lets you like draw 2 cards a turn on average. I did find, like I said, I think this is like the smallest Bastille package you can run, and I found it to be like really effective. I think you could honestly, if you were just completely concerned about hand traps and you think Bastilles are good, I don't think Bastilles are so good, because before this I was literally running 6 more hand traps, which is a part of the reason why my hand trap lineup is a little weird, because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to cut. So I'm actually going to talk about the hand trap lineup a little bit, because it's you'll notice there's a lot of 2-ofs. So the basic idea is I have liked Ogre. I think it's good into enough matchups to just be like really solid. Obviously Maxi, obviously Ash. You'd think Valor Imperm would be more than what they are. Honestly, it's probably correct to cut the Imperm, but I kept having Tempai problems, which is why I have Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill in here. The thing is, like, this is generally less good Valor Imperm, and I don't want to draw, like, duplicates that I can't use, but I also did want to specifically draw this if I, like, Maxied Tempai, because that would come up a lot, where I'd Maxi Tempai, they draw me a bunch of cards, and then in battle phase I'm drawing Effect Failure and Imperm when I need to be drawing exactly Ghost Mortar or Moonlit Chill if I want to do an Effect Negation. Bell, once again, is another card that's good against Tempai and tends to be a little awkward. It does hit Called by the Grave. I think you can consider playing more of it, but also I would probably consider like a 3rd DD Crow before I considered 3rd Bell. Removing the card entirely, in my experience, is just a lot more high impact, because most of them are not like banishing themselves to doing something. Usually it's like, you know, Sheeran to special summon, or an unaffected Bident Dragon, and so you can just DD Crow what's in the grave. But also in the battle phase, Ghostbell Haunted Mansion can hit a Fadra that activates effect during attack declaration, which is just really nice. So I found Bell kind of nice. I was basically intending on fixing these the hand trap lineup as I played, and figured out what I felt was good, and I just never really, while I was playing ranked, felt the need to do that. Beyond that, we're gonna just talk about a little bit. Omega's here for like weird edge case scenarios where you need to make an 8, you want a body, and you want something that can hypothetically interact with your opponent. It also has the benefit of, like, if you draw Trudea afterwards, you could just make a 12 with it. Same sort of thing with Chaos Archfiend, except Chaos Archfiend is just a funny guy that clears all of your opponent's stuff if you have, like, a Bastille or Phalanx Engrave. I think it clears a bunch of stuff. In my previous version of the deck, I was playing Thrust and what's it called? Oh my gosh, what's the UR trap called? Why can't I think of the card? Black Goat, not Cat. I found a Black Goat Laughs to be like a more consistent way to get Chaos Archfiend off. But this can be like a really powerful way to out like voiceless voice board. In general, like outing them via combat is really strong. Especially like this one specifically will like banish. It'll come up to just be a big guy that can attack everything and banish them all. And these two are both very edge cases. Also, it's funny when your opponent like does Dogmatica stuff, sends 2 cards from your extra deck, and you can shuffle them back with Omega. That part's not super relevant, but I've done it multiple times. I've done it like 3 separate times, and I just think that's funny. The Bestials give you access to Synchro 10s. Baron de Flor and Chaos Angel are both powerful. Chaos Angel tends to be good against Tempai. Sometimes Chaos Angel will actually end up being better than like a Cosmic Blazar Dragon, because like you might be able to get rid of like their field spell, and then they'll droplet, and then you can activate Phalanx targeting your own Chaos Angel, so you can actually get rid of the field spell, depending on what type of interaction you have, obviously. But I've had that come up. Cipher, I like I mentioned previously, all of the board wipes. The first time each card you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect. Battle, by the way. It's not. And that's just actually really good when, like, Tempai decides they want to Lightning Storm you or whatever, and you happen to draw your Imperm. Or you just get to keep your Phalanx. So I really like having Cipher here. I, once again, didn't really miss the second Blazar Dragon. I think you can play it if you want to. Crimson Dragon, you're just playing one of this. I have Legacia and Auxilla in here. That's pretty straightforward. I think you can play 2 Legacia. It wasn't coming up, and I cut it. I forget what I was playing before. But I felt like the second one wasn't as good as just the rest of the options. That's not true. Second one is better than Zeus. I've literally never made Zeus, but I have this in the extra deck, dreaming that one day I'm going to overlay 2 12s to make a Zeus, and that it will be the optimal play. That has not happened. I've had times where I wished I could keep material on Typhon, attack in, and the next turn lay a Zeus on top of that. But I have yet to live the dream of overlay for Zeus, being the correct play. Also, overlay for Typhon has not been the correct play either. It's a sad world we live in. Almirage and Artemis are here for being ways to turn your normal summon into an extra deck monster for SP Little Knight. Both of those are relevant. And Underworld Goddess, I think I've used like 4 times this in this deck, because getting like Omega online is not Omega. Getting the attack boost from Chaos Archfiend online is a lot harder in this version without the Blackout Laughs. Because usually in that kind of a grind, I find those kinds of decks where you like want it tend to be grindier, and it means you probably already used Phalanx by the time you have access to making Chaos Archfiend, in my experience. And it becomes really hard to consistently banish a card, because you need specifically to have a Bestial in hand, essentially, for a card to have been banished so it has 4,500 attack, because usually you need it to clear, like, a big monster. If they have multiple, you can, like, attack the first one, and then the rest will have the 4,500 attack, which is relevant. Making it, you know, it's a light tuner and a dark non-tuner. That's Trudea and Primera. Very convenient. But like I know before I talked about outing Dynamorphia Rexstorm using Black Goat plus Chaos Archfiend, and when I've played Dynamorphia the 3 times, I beat it every time, by the way, but I used Goddess of the Underworld to out Rexstorm. Because I don't have 3 Imperms. But yeah, I think it's pretty solid. I've also just had Goddess like randomly out otherwise really difficult to interact with cards, which is nice. A bunch of these are very much flex spots, and I would say Goddess is definitely one of those. Omega is one of those. Chaos Archfiend's one of those. Basically, every single card in here that's not exactly a Zeus, I have made to great effect. Another thing to consider about Zeus that could come up is that your own Typhon will floodgate yourself. All of your level 12 synchros are huge that aren't named exactly Crimson Dragon. So don't... So Zeus hypothetically allows you to out your own Typhon. But I feel like usually you can link it off or do something else with it. I didn't really have a problem with that. We're gonna go over... I played Centur-Ion to Duels Cup, you know. And I believe I tweaked the deck slightly. You'll notice I'm not playing 2 Mourner, and instead I'm playing 2 Veiler. I think that's the only difference. I don't remember changing anything else. I remember there was a game I drew 2 Ghost Mourner, and I thought if this had been an Effect Veiler, I would have been fine. So then I put in another Effect Veiler. These ratios still hurt me to look at, but honestly, I don't know. They're like all cards I want to see. And it's just things where it was like, oh, this card, I drew it like in duplicate, and I want to see exactly one. And I feel like there's enough duels where it's just like I want Veiler Imperm. Honestly, this should probably be, this Infinite Impermanent should probably be a 3rd Effect Veiler. Another reason I'm playing Imperm is specifically because I was, sick of getting, like, 2-for-1s with, Lightning Storm. A lot of this deck is built around Tempai specifically. Because the deck's just super popular. That's also why it's super heavy, hand trap heavy, because a lot of time they'll just have a bunch of hand traps you can't play anyways, and so it's like, okay, you know what, if you have a bunch of hand traps, I'm gonna have a bunch of hand traps. And against other decks, it's just like, okay, I probably have enough hand traps where like 2 or 3 like slows them down. The thing is, you kind of need to draw, like, Lubellion plus Starter plus a couple hand traps, usually, because they'll make, like, a half-board, and this deck kind of sucks at pushing through half-boards. But I think the Bestials, in particular Lubellion, allows you to realistically do something through a board where your opponent, like, made a bit of a board. I've had literally, like, Lubellion search Magma allow me to, like, out an IP that I wouldn't have been able to out otherwise. Just, like, things like that, I found, I questioned if I wanted to keep these 6 cards instead of, like, putting in more hand traps, but I found the pushes Lubellion specifically gives you are pretty good, and then these 2 are the best Bestial standalone by far. Like I said before, extra bodies in this deck can go into SP, be relevant in eruptions. It's insane. Every single time, I think, I've... Not literally every single, but I think a couple of times I went up against White Forest decks. I get to, like, SP Little Knight their guy on field, and then shuffle it back with Regained, which feels criminal. That interaction is disgusting. But yeah. This was the same deck. This was the deck I played in the Duels Cup. I didn't try any other decks. During stage 1, I played some Sky Striker, but that's irrelevant. This is this deck got me 19,000 points, so I was pretty happy with it. All right, that's really all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed. Bye.